Well, a tepid response from the administration following President Trump's latest tweet, which included a video clip showing him wrestling and punching someone with the CNN logo superimposed on their head.
Oh my God, what's going to happen?
The White House is also talking again about voter fraud, not from Russia meddling, but Americans. Let us be joined now by Republican Congressman Scott Taylor of Virginia. Good morning, Congressman.
Good morning, Alisyn. How are you?
I'm doing well.
No, you're not doing well, and you know it.
Let's talk about this tweet. The president retweeted this WrestleMania stuff of him punching somebody with a CNN logo on their head. It appears that the origin of that video was from the Reddit account of somebody with just sickening anti-Semitic and racist rants on their account. What's your response to this?
Honestly, what kind of question is that? Do you expect him to say, oh, I think this guy's great, I love his other posts? Criminy, this is not a question that's newsworthy. This is a hack job.
Well, I don't know anything about what you just said in terms of whose account it was or anything like that. I have no idea. I've been critical of the president's tweets before. I think that, but if I could give some objective advice to you, I think you guys are getting played, man. I think every time he does this, you guys overreact, and I say you guys, I mean the media in general. You overreact and you play right into his hands. I mean, ironically, CNN reported on him learning politics from the World Wrestling Federation in 2015. And now you're like, oh my God, he's inciting violence. I don't think any American, most Americans, excuse me, certainly some maybe, but most Americans out there believe that he's inciting violence from a WWF clip.
Oh my God, her face is so priceless. I love it.
So I think here you are, and I've watched your. Hold on a second. I've watched your segments, and you keep talking about this. There's tons of news out there. Let's talk about real issues.
Yeah, we've been told these are official presidential statements. Is the Twitter account of POTUS an official statement or not?
I'm sure it's really frustrating to be working at a network that is pretty much globally known as fake news and repeatedly called fake news by the official POTUS Twitter account. But I don't know, maybe you should start reporting on real news like the jobs creations and so much more that's been actually happening. Just an idea.
Well, I mean, I know that there's two accounts there. There's one that's unofficial, there's one that's official.
The official president of the United States account. So is this a presidential statement?
Listen, as I said to you, I would prefer the president not make some of these tweets. I've been critical on CNN as well too. I just think that this plays right. You guys are playing right into his hands. You overreact, and then he's able to use that politically. And I just think that you guys, I mean, you got to start reporting on news. This is not really news.
This is not real news. That's the nice way of saying you're fake news.
I hear you. I get it. I share your feelings sometimes. What's confusing is when the president of the United States focuses on this. I'll show you how many tweets he's put out that are media attacks. 94 of his tweets are attacks on media versus 29 on the military and what's happening with our veterans. So where's his focus?
Well, I think that's interesting because if you look at the media coverage, and I didn't come here to defend the president, but you're asking these questions.
I'm asking your opinion.
And when you look at, hold on a second, I'm going to tell you. When you look at your focus and the media's focus, it's all attacking the president. It's been that way for a couple years. And you mentioned the 35% that he had.
But we're responding today to his attack on CNN.
Then he won the presidency.
No. You got to look at the past. How have you been treating him? Seems like you guys can sure dish it out, but you can't take it.
What I'd like for you to do, the next segment you have, is put the numbers up of your negative coverage of the president as well, too.
Congressman, that is a, forgive me, crazy suggestion.
I'm dealing with this the same way I dealt with my own alcoholism and drug addiction, with lies and delusion.
When we
Why is it a crazy suggestion?
Because we are covering
Because I've
the
watched your segments. I've been sitting here. I've been sitting here watching your segments.
Congressman.
The last 3 ones are all about these tweets. You're not covering the news. Cover the news.
And how do we know?
You cover the tweets. You should do that. But cover the news too.
Good. How do we know when the presidential tweet is newsworthy?
How do you know something is newsworthy? I think it's something called journalism.
You got, like I just said, your whole segments are all about this.
Yes. How do we know?
There's a lot
Just
of
give
news
us,
out there.
give
Cover
me
that,
the roadmap.
sure. But
Give
cover
me the
the
roadmap.
news.
How do we know when the president's tweet is newsworthy?
Well, the way that I know something is newsworthy or not is by watching what you, CNN, are covering. Because if you're covering it, it's not newsworthy.
As I just said, you've covered his tweet. You covered it over and over and over again.
I
There's
haven't
a lot of
gotten
things to
your
talk about.
response
I'd love
to
to
it.
talk about the news with you.
The reason that
I've
we
already
haven't...
told you. I've been critical of the president.
Yes,
I don't
and
agree
are you
with the way that
critical
he
of
handles
this
his
one?
tweets.
Do you think this one was a mistake?
Of course, I don't think it makes sense to do that, but that's his decision to do that politically, and he will take either the successes or the consequences of making that politically. But I don't think that should make you do nothing but cover his tweet all day long. You got a lot of other things to cover.
One thing you could do is actually go to the POTUS page and, the one that's .gov, and look at his schedule. You'll be able to see the meetings, what's been covered, what the agenda is, what the next move is going to be. You can find out all kinds of information at the .gov site. It's whitehouse.gov if you don't know.
I agree. We would love to be able to move on. We wish the president would talk about substance. We wish that the press briefings
Well, I thought we were going to come on
free.
here and talk about the South China Sea, about voter fraud. But here we are talking about the tweets, the whole segment. You're playing right into the political hands.
I will never, ever forget.
Basically, I wanted to get your opinion on whether or not you thought this was a mistake for the president and whether or not you think that Republican leadership should speak out against it. So answer that and we can move on to voter fraud.
I've already said I'm critical of it.
Do you think that Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell should say something? How about
I'm critical of it. I don't think it makes sense.
Has the leadership been vocal enough about that?
That's up to them to get on your show and talk about that.
Okay,
I'm not going to, say.
Okay, you're not going to give them advice. Got it.
I will not indulge you any further.
Let's talk about voter fraud. So you know that there are something like 27 states that do not want to comply with the White House requests for all of this personal information of voters, including Virginia. What's your response to the secretaries of state saying, no, we don't feel like turning over private information of people's social security numbers and addresses and the way they've voted in the past?
Finally, a question of substance where I actually have something to say about it. I don't agree with giving out people's social security numbers to find out how they voted in the past. I don't think that's cool. I don't think it's right. And I really don't think it's legal.
Well, I think there's 2 things here. Number one, I believe in states' rights, of course. So if there are states, because obviously we control elections at the state level, and if there is legal information or private information they don't want to disclose via state laws, no problem. But what I saw, and actually it was in CNN's reporting on what the request was, and the request was public information.
Oh, you look like you got busted in yet one more of your little segments of fake news.
That is available to anyone if they pay for the voter rolls. Like if I'm a candidate, I can pay for the voter rolls and get it here in Virginia as well, too. I don't really see a problem with that because it's public information as long as the commission pays for it. But yes, if there is something that runs afoul of state laws, I support the states and not sending that in.
Here's what
But I didn't see. I mean, as I saw what was on the statement, it said public information.
Well,
oh, I feel a spin coming in the air. I really do. This is going to be good, right?
Yes and no. I mean, it's private information, but some of it is public, and the White House should be able to access it.
If it's available, what the statement said via CNN's story that I read was public information that doesn't run afoul of state laws. I don't have an issue with that. If it did, if it was private information, like you said, that ran against state laws, I would not support it, of course.
Got it.
No, I really don't think you've got it. I really don't. I think you're making shit up because you've got a guest who's just not towing the line that you want them to tow, honey.
Here's why it's confusing. Let me just read to
that.
you what the Mississippi Secretary of State says about this request. Quote,
I think we just found the new name for CNN, Confused News Network. Because first she was confused about how to know if something is newsworthy or not, and now she's confused about the difference between public information and private information.
they can go jump in the Gulf of Mexico, and Mississippi is a great state to launch from. Mississippi residents should celebrate Independence Day and our state's right to protect the privacy of our citizens by conducting our own electoral processes. I think the question, Congressman, that it brings up is why is the White House focused on trying to get the voting histories of Americans? What's that about?
I think it's quite obvious what that's about, so he can give it to Russia, Russia, Russia. You know, giving the names of the Americans, their Social Security numbers, and the manner in which they vote, that was part of the deal to give to Putin through all of this collusion that was going on, right? Did you agree with me? Well, good boy.
What could they be compiling this for?
Let me again agree with Mississippi in saying that they do have a duty to protect the privacy of their citizens and the integrity of their own elections that states run. Again, via your reporting, not yours personally, but CNN's, it says, you know, from the request was public information that doesn't run against state law. It doesn't run afoul of state law.
But to what end?
To what end? I'm pretty sure he just clarified to what end, so long as it doesn't violate state law or the privacy of the state's people. Really not that hard to understand.
Why does just so that I'm clear, how does that help cut down on voter fraud? Why does the White House need that?
Well, you see that the folks that are on the commission are actually from the state level that I saw, and I don't see a problem with trying to figure out if there was problems. There are a lot of people out there who do believe that there is voter fraud.
Right,
so
but there's not widespread
I just don't see a big
fraud.
Well, without an investigation, how would you know it's not widespread? And just because it's, quote, not widespread, you don't think it's really a problem then?
Yeah, but you say that, but that's fine.
Because of the numbers. I'm just reporting to you the data.
You say that, but what's the problem in looking to it? Just like what's the problem in looking to Russian meddling in an election? I don't see a problem with that. I think it's important to do so.
Sure.
Look, on the 3 states that did the recounts, actually what happened was Trump gained votes and Hillary lost votes. So yeah, there was a problem with the 3 states that had the recall investigation. What would happen if we did the other 47 states? I wonder.
So, you know,
I
as long as the
I'm just
information's
giving you
public
the facts and the data.
As long as the states are able to, you say that, but there's studies that say that's not. But if there is, and I'm not arguing if there's widespread voter fraud or not.
But
all I'm
what
saying
do you
is,
think?
if
do
a
you
White
think
House,
there's
if a
widespread
White
voter
House
fraud?
has the prerogative, if the White House has a prerogative to look into it, and they look for public information that's not private, that doesn't run afoul of state law, I don't see.
And again, no, I don't think you got it, you snarky bitch.
Problem with
I heard you, but just for your opinion, since you're in Congress, do you think that there's widespread voter fraud?
I don't believe so, but I don't know, and I don't have a big problem with them looking into it.
Congressman Scott Taylor, thanks so much.
No
Happy
problem.
4th of July.
Thanks for having me.
Oh my God, snarky, snarky, snarky bitch. People ask me why I call her that. Here's why. Look at this picture. What a snarky bitch. And for as much as she interrupts her guests, she needs to take some etiquette classes. I'm not kidding, let alone go back to journalism school. It's really sad that the hosts of CNN cannot hide their agenda whatsoever. It is so clear and concise and culpable.